Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And also peace and safety to the ICAM that spread across the four corners of the world. It's pushing out this truth with all diligence and also putting their lives on the line to do so. I'm the brother Karas Zahia of Great Millstone, Atlanta. I'm going to entitle this lesson, In Due Time, the Wicked Will Receive Their Judgment. It was just the spirit. I was just going, through the book of Jeremiah, just reading, and it just prompted me to do this lesson. All right, because the prophet Jeremiah was basically inquiring, from the Lord, when, the wicked will be judged. We see this on a daily basis. The wicked seem as if they are prospering, with these entertainers and, athletes, drug dealers and, so on and so forth, but the scriptures does say that the gift destroyeth the heart, because the gift can be from Satan as well. All right. And in due time, the Lord, is going to bring judgment upon all the wicked acts of these, of the people, man, including 2/3 of our own people, which are you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. So this is Jeremiah chapter 12, and I'll read verse 1. Righteous art thou, O Yahweh, when I plead with thee. Yet let me talk with thee of thy judgments. Wherefore doeth the way of the wicked prosper? Wherefore are they happy that deal very treacherously? You see, because Jeremiah was seeing the wickedness that was being done, during that time, during his time of prophesying. And he was inquiring the Lord, on when they will be judged. All right, I'll read it in the NLT version as well. And it says, Lord, you always give me justice when I bring a case before you. So let me bring this complaint. Why are the wicked so prosperous? Why are the evil people so happy? The Lord is just gathering, these people up, and just waiting for that huge day of judgment. It says, thou hast planted them, yet they have taken root. They grow, yet they bring forth fruit. It says, thou art near in their mouth and far from their reins. You see? And that's the same thing that our people are doing today, man. They get on these platforms and they say that they believe in God and, all this BS and madness, but your acts are not, towards, believing in the higher power, especially Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and the man who, gave this book over to us. When you read this book and you get the understanding of it, our people are far from this, It says, I'm reading in the NLT, it says, you have planted them and they have taken root and prospered. Your name is on their lips, but you are far from their heart. It's verse 3. It says, but thou, O Yahweh, knowest me, that thou hast seen me and tried my heart towards thee. Pull them out like sheep for the slaughter and prepare them for the day of slaughter. Yeah, man, because the Lord is really preparing. Like I said before, the Lord is, preparing them for the day of slaughter, man. Like sheep. When you lead sheep to their slaughter, man, you gotta guide them, and there's certain ones that's willing to go. All right, verse 4. It says, how long shall the land mourn, and the herbs of every field wither, for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. The beasts are consumed, and the birds, because they said, he shall not see our last end. If thou hast run with the footmen, and they have wearied thee, then how canst thou contend with horses? So it says, I'm going to read that in the NLT as well. It says, if racing against mere men makes you tired, how will you race against horses? All right. And that's going into, the power. If you racing, against mere men makes you tired, how can you contend with power? Or horses. It says, if you stumble and fall on open ground, what will you do in the thicket of Jordan? Even your brothers, members of your own family, have turned against you. They plot and raise complaints against you. Do not trust them, no matter how pleasantly they speak. You see? So Jeremiah, this was Jeremiah was going through, man. The people of the Israelites, even of his own family, was coming up against him, man. So Jeremiah went to the Lord, and was complaining basically, asking the Lord, when will he judge him? It was everybody was coming up against him for what he was teaching or speaking to the people about, man. All right, and he felt like he was getting backed into a corner. That's why he said, if racing against mere men makes you tired, how will you race against horses? So even his brothers and members of his own family, of his own household, was dealing treacherously with him. Which that brings me to a precept in Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 11. And it says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. You see? I'm reading the NLT. When crime, Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, it says, when a crime is not punished quickly, people feel it is safe to do wrong. And this is what's going on then. That's what's going on now, man. All right? People are more concerned with, the law of Esau versus being judged by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai for their consequences, man, against him. And that's where the confusion lies, man. All right, we're supposed to uphold ourselves to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Now, while we're here in captivity, in slavery to our enemies, we have to we have to basically being subject to them, abide by their laws, but all in all, ultimately, the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible, is what, we uphold ourselves to, and we're supposed to uphold ourselves to, Verse 12 here, it says, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. You see? So those that have the fear of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that's who's going to be in a well case. Because everybody is going to go, to the judgment seat of the Lord, and your case is going to be brought forth in the things that you've done. And some people don't have no righteousness, on their case, man. And that's why we, on the other end, we continue what we're doing, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, by going to camp and lessons, reading, studying, making our bodies a living sacrifice as it tells us, in Romans the 12th chapter. By doing those things, we'll have something to present to the Lord, to say that, like, we tried, But a lot of people, they don't have nothing to present to the Lord, man. Why? Because their heart is fully set in them to do evil, man. So that's what, Jeremiah was going through, and that's what we're going through to this day too, man. But the Lord is going to bring a heavy judgment on people. He's just doing a gathering right now, man. And when the time does come, because you have to understand, hey, we're not on the Lord's time, man. It's like if we're not on our own time, we're on the Lord's time. So you can't take matters into your own hand, and try to be as if you're the Lord, man, because you'll get judged like that too. Because look at Moses. Even though he was righteous, he was a righteous man. He took credit for something that the Lord did. Verse 13, it says, "But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not the Most High." You see? So with the wicked, his days aren't going to be prolonged. All right? We're looking, like it tells us in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, we're looking to put on that incorruptible crown. All right? Which is what? Immortality. That's the righteous days being prolonged. But the wicked don't have that, man. The wicked don't have that incorruptible crown, man. Like the scriptures say, they've received their consolation, man, because they didn't make the necessary sacrifices, man. All right? Brothers could have had careers or be entertainers or whatever the case may be, but they put that to the side to do the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right? Let me see if there's more in there. Jeremiah 12 before I have to close up. Verse 7, it says, "I have forsaken my house. I have left mine heritage. I have given thy dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies. Mine heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. It crieth out against me, therefore have I hated it." It says, "My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, as assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour." Yeah, that was, you can still go on. That was pretty much the point, though, what I wanted to touch on, because, the Lord had Jeremiah go through those things for a reason, and we relate to that because we see the same thing now, The wicked seem as if they're prospering, but really the Lord is just waiting for their day of judgment. All right, so I just wanted to touch on that. Lord willing, it was edifying. I'm going to go ahead and close up by giving all praises, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and until the next time, Shalom.